The adage, "the grass is always greener on the other side," is often cited as a universal truth, but in my experience, it precipitated a series of events far more tumultuous than I could have anticipated. It all began on a radiant Thursday morning. The sun shone brightly, birds sang with a fervor reminiscent of a children's animated film, and I stood before my lawn, a steaming cup of coffee in hand, admiring the verdant masterpiece I had nurtured over months. It was impeccable lush, dense, meticulously trimmed, and greener than a forest in spring. Then, as if scripted for dramatic effect, she appeared, Eleanor, a 72-year-old woman clad in pristine white sneakers, clutching a clipboard, her lips perpetually pursed as though she had been tasting sour fruit since the Reagan era. Without so much as a greeting, she thrust a sheet of paper at me with the authority of a court summons. "Your lawn is in violation," she declared, her tone devoid of any warmth. I blinked, incredulous. Violation of what? Too much grass. She didn't flinch. Color inconsistency with the neighborhood standard. It's excessively green. I initially assumed she was jesting and let out a tentative laugh, awaiting a hint of humor. None came. She fixed me with a stare that suggested I had perpetrated a grave offense against nature itself. The document was an official notice from the Pinewood Grove Homeowners Association, HOA, citing violation 14B, excessive lawn vibrancy. I was dumbfounded. Too green. I echoed aloud. I didn't douse it in neon paint. I just used quality fertilizer. Ignoring my protest, she pivoted on her orthopedic shoes and strode off like a commander departing a conquered field. That encounter marked my initiation into what I would later term the lawn wars. To provide the context, my wife, Laura, and I had relocated to Pinewood Grove 3 months earlier, escaping a cramped apartment for a suburban home where our children could play freely, unhindered by urban hazards. The house was charming: 3 bedrooms, a generous backyard, and a front lawn that seemed lifted from a glossy magazine. The realtor had omitted one critical detail: the HOA's authoritarian grip over the community. Initially, our neighbors appeared welcoming. Tom and Lisa from across the street even gifted us a casserole upon our arrival. Others, however, observed us with a scrutinizing air, mentally cataloging potential infractions. I paid it little mind, intent on transforming our new residence into a permanent haven. For me, that VY began with the lawn. I devoted myself to its care, installing a sophisticated sprinkler system, aerating the soil, and applying organic compost biweekly. Saturdays were reserved for mowing, Sundays for edging with surgical precision. It became my refuge, a verdant sanctuary amidst life's demands. Evidently, that tranquility was deemed a threat. Eleanor's first citation felt like a minor reprimand, which I dismissed as an aberration. Perhaps she was simply in a foul mood. Yet, a week later, another notice arrived, accompanied by photographs contrasting my VY Brant lawn with the neighbor's parched, lackluster patches. The HOA deemed mine too reminiscent of a championship golf course on affront to their standards. I was instructed to reduce the color intensity within 10 days, with no guidance on how to achieve this absurd directive. Soon, subtle hostilities emerged. A neighbor ceased while VYing. An anonymous note on my mailbox read, "This isn't a putting green," and even the mail carrier cast odd glances my way. My children dubbed our lawn the Forbidden Meadow, finding humor where I began to sense a deeper conflict. The third notice escalated Matersadue Law 50 daily fine for noncompliance, couched in terms like VY disruption and community balance. I attempted diplomacy, attending an HOA meeting to plead my case. Armed with reason, I explained my maintenance regimen, emphasizing my intent to enhance, not overshadow. Eleanor interrupted, brandishing a laminated color chart and declaring my lawn exceeded acceptable shades, which ranged from faded tan to muted olive. "You're penalizing me for healthy grass?" I asked, incredulous. "You're disrupting neighborhood harmony," she retorted. "This is about uniformity." That word uniformity crystallized the issue. This wasn't about aesthetics, but control. Defeated yet defiant, I returned home and gazed at my lawn under the moonlight, its dew-kissed blade shimmering. "Too green," I muttered, and an audacious plan took root. If they craved drab conformity, I would deliver it not on my property, but theirs. Sleepless, I'd have said, Operation Turf Reprisal. I scouted the neighborhood, identifying HOA board members' homes with Eleanor's pristine, artificial turf as the prime target. Her lawn, a synthetic marvel imported from Europe, was her idea delicious irony given her crusade against my natural greenery. I enlisted my friend Greg, a landscaper, who supplied non-toxic, lawn-safe brown dye and tools, chuckling at my scheme's audacity. Under cover of night, clad in dark attire, we transformed Eleanor's lawn into a patchy, drought-stricken eyesore. The result was a poetic statement her own standards turned against her. The next morning, chaos ensued. Eleanor's shrieks pierced the dawn as neighbors gathered, speculating on culprits. I observed from my window, savoring the irony as attempts to clean the dye only frayed her turf further, necessitating a costly replacement. Suspicion never fell on me, and the HOA briefly retreated. Yet, days later, a letter accused me of property defacement, hinting at legal action. They had no proof, but the gauntlet was thrown. The fines had begun modestly due law 50 for excessive vibrancy, but escalated rapidly, threatening a lien on our home. Neighbors turned informants, and the HOA deployed a VY Sewell Integrity Patrol. I countered with meticulous records and a camera, sensing Eleanor sought not compliance but capitulation. At a subsequent meeting, armed with evidence of their overreach, I challenged their authority. When Eleanor flaunted her color chart again, I snapped. What's next, mandatory beige houses? Laughter erupted, but she doubled down on VY Sewell equilibrium. Support emerged unexpectedly. Neighbors shared tales of similar HOA tyranny, from whimsical wind chimes to holiday decor. Emboldened, I retaliated by dyeing Eleanor's lawn, sparking a legal threat. Consulting my lawyer, Sarah, I uncovered HOA financial discrepancy, thousands misspent on personal indulgences like spa days and steak dinners. At the next meeting, I exposed these abuses, triggering a homeowner revolt. Eleanor was ousted, and the HOA suspended its draconian rules. Victory seemed complete until Eleanor sued me personally for due law $10,000, alleging emotional distress and turf replacement costs. In court, her histrionics faltered against my calm defense and Sarah's evidence, including footage of her harassing my children. The case was dismissed, and I emerged as an unlikely community at VY SOAR, rewriting HOA policies to foster freedom over conformity. The neighborhood transformed, lawns diversified, children played unhindered, and camaraderie flourished. Eleanor retreated, her plain turf a silent testament to her defeat. Hosting a barbecue on my still, vibrant lawn, I watched our community thrive, its greenery a metaphor for newfound liberty. They said my lawn was too green. I mused to Laura. She smiled. Now the whole neighborhood's blooming. Sipping lemonade, I reflected. Perhaps the grass is greenest where people grow it their way.